Good morning and welcome back to Reading Wikis for You, where we read the wiki articles for you. And today we're going to be continuing our look at the Warhammer 40,000 fictional universe by looking at the Primarch Ferrus Manus of the Iron Hands. Now, as always, while I'm reading, do me a favor, drop a comment down below so I know what articles you'd like to see next. And of course, if you're new here, make sure you're subscribed. I put a new video up each day, and I'd love for you to come along. So, with that said, let's get started. If fighting is all there is, if we may never pause to reflect on what such devotion to strength is doing to us, then our compulsion will only grow. Already I see the madness that path leads to, and so I shall excise the silver from my hands. In doing so I shall weaken myself and my sons, but nonetheless it must be done. The hands are strong, and have created great things, but they are not mine. Ferrus Manus, literally Hand of Iron, the Gorgon, was one of the 20 Primarchs created by the Emperor before the Great Crusade. He led the Iron Hand Space Marine Legion. During his time on the world of Medusa, Ferrus Manus possessed hands encased in necrodermis, granting him the ability to manipulate molten metal with exceptional strength and artistry, eschewing the need for traditional tools like hammers and flames. History. Arrival on Medusa. Ferrus was stolen away by the forces of chaos, just as his brothers were, and spent his first years on the planet Medusa. As a youth, he discovered an X mark on the pod that first brought him to this world, and that the chamber was too precise to be a natural formation. Exploring further, he discovered runes and electroconductive stalagmites all around the chamber. His inspections awakened an imprisoned, colossal, biomechanical worm-like creature, which attacked him and escaped, ignoring his attacks. He followed its path of destruction and swore he would destroy the beast he had unwittingly released. When he reached the surface, he saw other men in the distance, but wouldn't reveal himself to them, instead keeping his recent oath in mind. Over time, Ferrus had gained a significant legend to the clans of Medusa. The storm giants of the Karashi Pinnacle called him the Cataclysm. Due to his unleashing of the worm, he was also known as the Hunter. The Phantasmagoria dubbed him the Finality. The Mecharachnists and Phase Wraiths that sought him out had seemed to classify him as the Rehu Netjer, or Son of Man. Meanwhile, the Subliminat had called him Flesh. Years later, Ferrus walked unscathed and fully formed from the mountains where he encountered the roaming clans and tribes of Medusa. Ferrus would not join these tribes, as many of his brothers did. Instead, he sought out physical challenges to make himself stronger and more resilient. These tests ended with his battle against the great silver worm, Acernoth, a metallic beast impervious to harm. Ferrus had to drown it in magma to kill it. The melted flesh of the worm fused to Ferrus's flesh, giving him the true metal hands his legions would take in its name from. Ferrus returned to the tribes and lectured them on technology. The clans advanced at a stunning pace, and Medusa prospered. But Ferrus took care to leave the interclan rivalry and fighting by never taking sides, as he saw the competition between them as healthy and good. The Emperor eventually came to Medusa to reunite with his lost son. Ferrus Manus tested himself in a cataclysmic battle that is said to have lain waste to entire mountains. Finally, having found someone equal, Ferrus accepted the Emperor as his master and took command of a legion of Space Marines, created with use of the Primarch's gene seed. Ferrus met his brother Fulgrim early on, and initially was disdainful of the Phoenicians' appreciation for art and culture, seeing it as a waste of time when a galaxy needed to be conquered. Fulgrim jokingly referred to Ferrus as the Gorgon, a reference to the mythical Terran creature whose ugliness turned men to stone. The title ultimately stuck. Great Crusade. Thousands of planets would fall to the remorseless Iron Hands under Ferrus's leadership. Each weak link in humanity was to be purged if mankind was to grow stronger. Scholars spoke of the wave of piety and faith that spread before the Iron Hands, with many planets suddenly motivated to look into themselves when they heard that the Iron Hands were approaching. Ferrus instilled in his sons a doctrine of ruthless pragmatism and strength through sacrifice, demanding that emotion and weakness be cast aside in the pursuit of efficiency and victory. His legion operated as an unrelenting war machine, crushing resistance with precise and overwhelming force. This cultural effect was not due to spirituality, but fear. fear of being judged unworthy by Ferrus Manus, whose reputation for merciless censure was legendary. During the Great Crusade, the Iron Hands battled the human Diasporex alongside the Emperor's children. This was symbolic of the bond shared by Ferrus Manus and the Emperor's children Primarch Fulgrim, who were close friends. The two became companions, sharing an admiration for craftsmanship, Fulgrim for its aesthetic beauty, and Ferrus for its precision and utility. However, during the conquest of 1544, he received visions from the Eldar alluding to his eventual demise at Fulgrim's hands. Distrustful of the Xenos, Ferrus rejected the prophecy. Ferrus was one of the 4 Primarchs privately referred to by Roboute Guilliman as the Dauntless Few, the 4 of his brothers who most exemplified their father's design and whose legions reflected their best qualities, the others being Rogel Dorn, Sanguinius, and Leman Russ. Quote, "And of them, Manus was the key, implacable, unshakable. If he was at your side, he would never break." Unquote. Ferrus did not get along with all his brothers, however. During the Astrani campaign, he had a severe dispute with Rogel Dorn over what should become the Astrani machine empire. Ferrus, alongside his Mechanicum backers, wished for the civilization's destruction as heretics, while Rogel Dorn wanted them assimilated into the larger Imperium. The debate escalated to the point where Horus Lupercal was called upon to mediate. In accordance with Imperial custom, the matter was settled through an honor duel, the outcome of which ended the dispute, though it left lingering tension between Ferrus and Dorn. Ultimately, the Astrani were eradicated, their domains purged and reclaimed in the name of the Emperor. Ferrus Manus continued to lead his legion with a relentless purpose, shaping the Iron Hands into a legion feared even among their peers. A war engine of flesh and steel, stripped of doubt, mercy, or hesitation. Horus Heresy. Once swayed himself to the side of the War Master, Fulgrim approached Ferrus Manus before the heresy and tried to lure him to join Chaos. Ferrus Manus was so enraged at this proposal that he attacked Fulgrim. A short duel took place where Ferrus destroyed Fulgrim's sword Fireblade, the same weapon Ferrus had given to him many years before. Fulgrim escaped after rendering Ferrus unconscious, leaving him alive but taking with him the massive Thunderhammer Forgebreaker he himself had crafted for his brother. The Iron Hands were one of the loyal legions the Emperor called to Istvan V. Given the large distance, Ferrus Manus took the legion's fastest ships and departed only with his veterans. Most of them died in this battle when, following the loss of their Primarch, they were struck down by the traitor legions, caught between the hammer of the Emperor's children upon the anvil of the 4 support legions of the Second Wave. Fulgrim personally killed Ferrus during the battle at Istvan V, using the demon weapon he acquired fighting the Lair to strike his head from his shoulders in one fell swoop. Fulgrim, distraught with grief that his closest brother was dead by his own hand, was soon thereafter possessed by the demon within the sword. The possessed Fulgrim then delivered Ferrus's head to Horus. Post-mortem. When Guilliman heard reports that Ferrus had fallen, along with Vulcan and Corax, he lamented that, of the 3, he would miss Ferrus most of all. Quote, "Now it seems he is gone. Gone. Dead. Brother. Friend. Warrior. Leader. Ultramar's most stalwart ally." Unquote. Later during the heresy, as Horus fell deeper and deeper into chaos and his mental state perhaps began to deteriorate, he took the skull of Ferrus Manus, mounted it on his throne, and began to increasingly speak to it. During their one-sided conversations, Horus lamented that he had only had bloody-handed tyrants, mass murderers, and demons for his generals, instead of strategists and men of duty like Ferrus. During the final climactic struggle of the war within the Webway, the Emperor summoned the souls of the fallen heroes of the Imperium to serve as an army against the demonic hordes. Ferrus was reanimated as a blazing specter and briefly fought at the Emperor's side. Later, during the final stages of the siege of Terra, Ferrus Manus reappeared before Sanguinius aboard the warp-corrupted Vengeful Spirit. Apparently, the real Ferrus had not a mere hallucination or trick. The deceased Primarch stated that he had been brought back by Horus as a demonstration of his power and as a form of psychological torture of Sanguinius. Ferrus guided Sanguinius to Lupercal's court to face the treacherous War Master, who was able to anchor himself to the material realm longer than Horus had anticipated and wished Sanguinius the best of luck against his traitorous brother. When the Emperor was mortally wounded in the Siege of Terra, this created a psychic apparition of Manus, which briefly appeared before the Iron Hands on Medusa. According to the Iron Council's log, their Primarch warned them that a calamity would come to befall mankind. When it occurred, though, Manus promised he would return to lead the Iron Hands against it, and the apparition then disappeared. Since the heresy, rumors have persisted that Ferrus did not truly die upon Istvan, and may have been spirited away to Mars where his body was restored. Clan Cargill maintains that Ferrus Manus will return one day when the Imperium needs him once more. To this end, they maintain an eternal vigil over the Karashi heights of Medusa, awaiting his return. The other clans do not have the heart to impede the Cargill in this, for as long as they maintain their vigil, hope remains. 10,000 years later, in the 41st millennium, a demonette of Slaanesh taunted Iron Hand sergeant named Morvox on Shardanus, claiming that it had seen Manus's head and, quote, "it is still screaming," unquote. With the creation of the Great Rift, however, many in the Iron Hands believe the time of their Primarch's promised return to his sons has come. The Wardens of Gorgon's Forge are now working harder than ever to unravel its secrets in preparation for Manus' arrival, and all but the coldest of the Iron Hands yearn for that day to arrive. The Drayor Obelisk. Quote, "On the 18th day of Nureg, the Guardian of Terra did alight on Drayor, and there was a great starfire in the heavens as 7 ships of gold descended. And lo, did the men of iron kneel to his will and the will of the avenging sun. He brought his word and his bond, but it was the gift of bone the men of iron took heed of. And so, reunited with their patriarch, was a pact with the men of iron sealed, and the Imperium of Man reunited. Never again would it be put asunder," unquote. On the world of Drayor, Inquisitor Kinnabad, accompanied by a companion known only as Scarborn, uncovered an ancient obelisk detailing a pact made between Guilliman, Dorn, and the Shattered Iron Hands Legion. In return for their adherence to the nascent Codex Astartes, the Iron Hands were given the skull of Ferrus Manus. How exactly Guilliman and Dorn retrieved the skull is unknown. As of M41, Ferrus's skull is rumored to be at the center of the Eye of Medusa, upon an altar watched over by Hellfather, who does not eat, drink, sleep, or blink in his ceaseless watch of the Primarch. Clones. Following the Dropsite massacre, a mentally volatile Fulgrim would have Fabius Bile clone Ferrus. However, these clones proved unstable, and each refused to turn against the Emperor, forcing Fulgrim to once again kill his brother and driving him even madder. Though not a clone, a group of extreme Iron Fathers of the Iron Hands, calling themselves the Cult of the Gorgon, attempted to resurrect Ferrus shortly before the Siege of Terra. In an attempt to control the Iron Hands' remnants and oppose the legitimacy of Shadrach Medusan, the Cult of the Gorgon somehow acquired one of the metallic arms of Ferrus and attached it to a heavily armored and cloaked mechanical puppet. This shameful construct was destroyed by Vulcan. War gear. Ferrus Manus' primary weapon was the gigantic Thunderhammer Forgebreaker, crafted for him by Fulgrim. Manus wore a finely wrought suit of cataphracti pattern Terminator armor known as the Medusan Carapace. More than a simple suit of armor, it possessed many servo mechanisms and support systems. He was also seen fighting with a wrench-shaped power weapon. Trivia. Ferrus Manus is Latin for Iron Hand. All right, there we go. We have our 10th, the 10th Primarch, not necessarily the 10th one that we've done because there are a couple missing ones. But what did you think? Drop a comment down below. Let me know what do you think of Iron Hands. I'll give you a little bit of a hint. Originally, my first Space Marine army, I thought they would be an Iron Hand successor chapter. So, I don't remember why I picked that, but just a fun little fact. So, with that out of the way, thanks for watching, folks. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget, drop your comment down below and let me know what you'd like to hear next. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you next time.